Yeah, you kept me waiting for some fucking bullshit. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of MavAttack. Today, we are here to talk about the Metal Gear Solid 5 ending. Now, of course, like I put in the beginning of the video, there are going to be major spoilers, not just on Metal Gear Solid 5, but the whole franchise. So if you don't want spoilers, click off the video, but we're going to get into it. So I'm going to talk briefly about my history with Metal Gear Solid. Now, I've played a lot of the Metal Gear games. There are some that I missed out on, or I played a little bit of the gameplay and then I went back and watched the game, like Metal Gear Solid 2. But I did, for the most part, play every Metal Gear game in the series. Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1, 3 on PS2, 4 on PS3, and then 5, of course, on PlayStation 4. So I've been around the block, and I really know that Kojima, he likes to mindfuck the players. He likes to take this story and just completely warp it in a way that you don't even. There's points in the series, in the franchise, where I've looked and I've been like, I'm not even going to attempt to understand why this is the way it is. For whatever reason, I'm not even gonna try to attempt to understand it. Everybody knows that this game is just a complete and total mindfuck, so that is kind of my backstory, my brief history with the games. And if you want a little bit of backstory on the games, a little bit of explanation on a base level, I summed up the basic level of the story, going from the beginning of the franchise all the way down to Metal Gear Solid 4, not in game order, but in the fictional chronological order. So we went from the beginning, from Snake Eater, all the way down to Metal Gear Solid 4. But anyway, let's get into Metal Gear Solid 5 and the ending. So now, if you have not completed the ending, spoilers, again, I've warned you of so many spoilers, so if you're like, it spoiled the game, that's your freaking fault. Actually, before we talk about the ending, this kind of scared me a little bit. And I made 2 videos before Metal Gear Solid came out. Oh, actually, one before it came out, and then one upon release, the very first day, like my first impressions in the very first mission. One video was called Being Big Boss Fail, and then the other one was called The Real Big Boss, where I was pretty much saying, I am the real big boss. Like, I dressed up as Big Boss. I'm gonna obviously have, you know, the video playing over me talking, but no, I wasn't really that far into the game when I did these 2 videos, so there was a lot that I did not know about. So that's just a little bit of backstory before I actually explain what happens in the main story and we discuss it, because I really just need to freaking vent. I need to talk about it. I only had like one person that I could explain it to, and he didn't even finish the game. He was just like, go ahead and spoil it for me, I don't care, let's talk about it. And I was like, listen, we're talking about it. I had to get it off my chest, so we're talking about it. So anyway, so now you know that. Now you know that I dressed up as Big Boss. I pretended to be the real Big Boss. I was like, you know, I'm the real Big Boss. This is me, I am Big Boss. Now let's get into the ending of the game. So the game doesn't end necessarily on a good note. The story is actually really bad in my opinion, and I'll explain that in a little bit. The story, as far as Metal Gear Solid goes, this is a really terrible Metal Gear Solid game. So the game ends, Quiet leaves, you don't get to use Quiet anymore once the game is over. That's the end of the game. Mission 50, I think, is the end of the game. There's 50 missions, 2 chapters, and not to mention that the first chapter has a lot of different things, a lot of different themes, a lot of different gameplay elements, a lot of different mission types. The variation is, there's different variation in the main story, the first half. The second half is the biggest joke I have ever seen. What happened with the second half of the game? The second half of the game, they're like, okay, we're not gonna be able to finish this, so let's try to figure out a fucking terrible ending, a shit ending that we can take the piss out on our audience and pretty much say fuck you, because that's what Kojima did. Now, under certain circumstances, whether you do a side mission or you get your heroism score up to a certain threshold, there's something in the game, and I don't know what it is, but there is a main mission called Truth, and it is the man who, the man who sold the world, right? Whatever it's called, whatever that fucking song is called. There is a Truth chapter, which makes you go to chapter 1, where the game started, with the gameplay video that I made. You go back through and you play that hospital scene. But the truth is that the character that you play in Metal Gear Solid 5, you don't fucking play as Big Boss. You don't play as Big Boss. You play as some random Gumby, SpongeBob, some fucking random dude, some elite soldier that Big Boss was like, that's the man right there, that's my best soldier, that you created yourself, that was in the helicopter when the bomb blew up and got all the shrapnel into Big Boss. You were in the helicopter with Big Boss, and you were the one that got the shrapnel not Big Boss. You were the one that lost the arm, not Big Boss. So the character that you create, you are playing as the whole game. You are playing as yourself in Metal Gear Solid 5. You're not playing as Big Boss, and the person that helps you get out of the hospital is Big Boss. And you find out in the truth chapter. And it's so fucking frustrating. Because I was speaking with one of my closest friends, Mr. True Jordy. Shout out to True Jordy. I never finished Metal Gear Solid 2, but he finished Metal Gear Solid 2. And he said that that game was such a fucking pain in the ass because when you finish the game, you find out that it was a fucking simulation. It's a simulation. They took Raiden into Metal Gear Solid 2 and were like, hey, let's see if we can turn Raiden into Solid Snake. Let's see if we can make an elite clone out of somebody that's not an elite. You play as Solid Snake for 20% of the game, and then you play as Raiden for 80% of the game. And then come to find out at the end of the game that you're just playing. I don't want to play Metal Gear to play as anybody else besides Big Boss. And that's just, I'm passionate. I'm a passionate fan. And you can see the frustration because I was really hoping that Metal Gear Solid, I was so excited. And you guys know I was really excited for Metal Gear Solid 5 to come out. I am a huge Metal Gear fan. I am a Metal Gear fan. I had this on standby waiting. This is the first game. This is one of my all-time favorite video games in the world ever. I am a fan. And this game was such a freaking disappointment, man. So the truth is that you create a character and then the created character undergoes mental hypnotherapy. He undergoes hypnotherapy to believe that he is Big Boss. This man Kojima is Kojima, if you cannot say Kojima is not a genius for what he has done, shame on you. Utter shame on you. Kojima is a genius for what he's done. He's an utter cunt. Kojima is a cunt, but it doesn't mean he's not a genius in what he's done. Metal Gear, okay, let's put it in perspective. These Metal Gear games, he has been developing a story that he wrapped around, starting, what was it, 1987? He started Metal Gear. This guy had 28 years. 28 years he developed a story. Now the story is convoluted, the story is fucking confusing. In the end of Metal Gear 2, Big Boss dies. Snake kills Big Boss. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, Big Boss died. The Snake really did kill Big Boss. To simplify it, he killed the fucking SpongeBob that you create in the beginning of the Phantom Pain. He didn't kill the real Big Boss. The real Big Boss got away. Now, let me just backtrack real quick and explain what happens to Big Boss in the Phantom Pain. He helps you escape the hospital. What happens is, Snake wakes up before your created character wakes up, your fake Big Boss, your Venom Snake. He gets out of the ambulance and meets Ocelot, and Ocelot is like, all right, man, here we go. You know, this is it. This is where your doppelganger takes over. You ride off into the sunset, you know, and we all know, but we're all gonna eventually, you know, make it so we don't remember this whole situation and we don't remember that you put in for everything. You did this yourself. We're not gonna remember that you're the real boss and he's not. That you're not even playing as Big Boss the whole game. Playing as some fucking SpongeBob. And so I feel like this was Kojima's way of saying, you are Big Boss. Big Boss is you. This is your Big Boss simulator. Go out, have fun. Enjoy the world. Be who you want to be. Do what you want to do. Fuck that! Fuck all that! Fuck that shit! I don't want to do that! I'm frustrated and I'm upset at the story. Now the gameplay, don't get it twisted. I love the game. I put in 200 hours on this game. I've been playing this game non-stop since it came out. This game it's such fun gameplay in my opinion. Yes, the open world is very, very, very empty between the over repetitive side missions and, you know, the main story missions. There's not much to do out in the open world. You can go capture soldiers, capture animals, capture plants, capture containers. Aside from that, nothing dynamic happens. Look at games like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto 5, The Witcher 3. These games all have a persistent open world. There needs to be something in the open world. The game is so bare bones. That's why FOBs and Metal Gear Online 3 will give the game more life than what it's already given. Now there's tons of stuff to unlock and all that stuff. All that stuff that's in every single game, you can grind, spend hours and unlock all the goodies and 100% the game, but that shouldn't make a good game. You shouldn't have to grind and put in 200 hours on a game for to unlock everything, get a good experience. I feel like they stretched the game out and we're like, listen man, this game, you're gonna spend like 80 hours on the main story alone. Yeah, well, the reason you're gonna spend 80 hours on the main story alone is because you have to do certain things like develop your mother base, do all this stuff. It's just such a pain in the fucking ass, man. The gameplay is so good too. And now you guys understand why I got freaked out, because I did these videos before I even knew the game was going to end, being the real Big Boss. And I'm like, This whole time, I am the real big boss, but I'm not. But I am the real big, but we are what? What the fuck, Kojima? You guys understand my frustrations. I want all your comments and all your opinions in the comment section. Let me know if you actually finished the game, and if you didn't finish the game, what are your thoughts about basically not even playing as the person you've been playing as the whole game? Would you think that was a slap in the fucking face? Kept you waiting, huh? Yeah, you kept me waiting for some fucking bullshit. It's like there's minimal story, and the minimal story that is there has more questions than answers, which of course, as always, every Metal Gear game, more questions than answers, but also it's blatantly obvious the game is not even finished. The game is not complete. So there's a lot to be discussed. The game is unfinished. The ending was just so disappointing. The open world, disappointing. Everything about the game is disappointing, except for the gameplay. And my love for Metal Gear keeps me playing it, because I want something else, and I don't want to have to pay DLC to continue. If I have to pay DLC for this, no. Konami is officially taking me. If I ever become a big YouTuber, Konami will never invite me to anything, because I'm gonna spit on the president's freaking face. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode of MavAttack. Anything you guys want to talk about, we're gonna talk about in the comment section. Do you think it's fair to play through, to wait years, 8 years damn near, wait years for a new Metal Gear game, and then find out that you don't even play as Snake? You don't even play as the dude on the cover. You don't even play as this guy right here. This big boss right here. Lots of different things coming to the channel, but I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. All you He-Man stay rad, and all you She-Man stay fab, and I'll see you guys all on the next episode. I am the real big boss. Right here. This big boss right here. You don't play as him. You play as SpongeBob Jenkins with a horn in his head.